Welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Verdict Podcast. I am one of your hosts, mediator, Peter Taaffe. And you are who?
Pardon me, Kyle Herbert, full-time litigator and slowly falling asleep.
And I am full-time litigator Bill Ogden, slightly taller than Kyle Herbert and not as good of a hair.
Yep. Well, the afro I'm closer to.
I used to have hair down to my shoulders in college.
Me too.
It did not look good.
Oh, I look great on me.
Yeah, mine looked.
Did you bring pics to the next show?
I would, but I'm probably 50 pounds heavier. I was an offensive lineman for a little while.
All right.
I was in great shape, and I had majestic, like, ginger Jesus hair. It was...
You were a ginger? Well, it makes a lot more sense now.
I don't know with ginger. People think I'm a ginger because my face gets red and angry.
What is that? The G word we call it? I think. Can we say the G word?
What
I'll say it now.
What do we call ourselves? Melatonin sensitive? I don't know.
Oh, is that what you even call it? So what? You have trouble sleeping?
All right. Let's get
melanin.
There you go.
Let's get back to the news. This actually was not. I have not seen this reported, but Bill is constantly making the news. So, Bill, at some point we had talked about your defamation case against Elon Musk on behalf of. Tell us again. Your client was portrayed on or retweeted by
Ben Brody. Yeah, Ben Brody, a young man, a young Jewish man up in the Northwest, who was not part of a far right versus far right fist fight that was on video that got outed and got thrust into the controversy by somebody posting something about him, and then Elon Musk taking that information and posting it to his 170 whatever million followers.
Okay, and that the clear thing, this wasn't just, you weren't suing Mr. Musk just because someone else put it on Twitter. You're suing him because he actually retweeted it or...
Oh, no, he tweeted it.
Okay, tweeted it himself.
He had to type out those characters.
So procedurally in the case, as usual on a defamation type case, they filed what we refer to as a TCPA or an anti-SLAPP motion to dismiss the case in which you're obligated to put forth, I believe, is it a
clear and specific, whatever that means, undefined evidence of each and every element of to make a prima facie case for each cause of action.
All right.
Which is tough. What causes of action would be subject to that?
I don't know. Well, at first, there were no restrictions. You had like car wreck lawyers doing it.
So what is it now?
I don't know because I'm always on the receiving side. But should anybody need a defamation defense, I think I'd be phenomenal at it. You're not gonna like my hourly rate, but we'll get the job done.
So I mean, I
was just gonna say the background on it. It came out, and then it was vaguely written. I think is proven by the fact that it was later amended, and so lawyers try to apply it to everything else, and the courts were all over the place on whether it could be done. It was intended to protect free speech or free association.
Any constitutional right.
Yeah.
So even your right to bear arms. So you any constitutional from the Texas or the federal constitution, any rights that you had, if you were supposed to be able to bring that in defense of the plaintiff bringing the case against you to prevent you from exercising one of those.
Right.
The most common is your freedom of speech.
And then the free association thing was used for like everything. Like, hey, breach of contract, we were associating to make a contract.
Yeah.
It's covered. So the legislature amended it to make a little bit more clarity on it. And I think it's kind of settled down a little bit back to where it was intended. So anyhow, in this case, so you've got to show all the elements. Are they claiming that your client is a public figure, so to speak?
No. I don't. Now that you asked me that, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and look, but there's no way because he just wasn't.
Because in that case, you'd have to show actual malice on the part of the offending party, which is very difficult to do without discovery.
Correct. Even if they aren't a public figure, you still have to show actual malice for punitives.
Okay. So in your case, the law also says that the trial court can, in their discretion, allow for limited discovery before ruling on the motion. And the motion has to be ruled on within a certain period of time.
Yeah, it punches a timeline. You've got like 90 days to... Yeah. And then if you get granted discovery, I think it flips to it. They give you a little bit more of a buffer to do that discovery. But typically, at least all of the cases that I've been a part of, the discovery's been granted because... You make your petition as a notice petition, a notice pleading.
Right.
But in doing so, you have to be able to put forth clear and specific evidence of, not clear and convincing, clear and specific. I think think they've defined it a little bit now, but you've got to put every single element of each cause of action, which can be difficult if you have had zero discovery because you're just making allegations.
Yeah.
So I think that they're pretty liberal so far, at least from my perspective. It might just be because our Mark Bankston's that smart and he can brief better. But we had the hearing.
You asked for Mr. Musk's deposition as part of this SLAPP, the rule that says you can take a quick deposition.
We asked for a limited deposition on certain topics. We only asked for 3 hours. Then we asked for a couple of interrogatories, a couple of requests for production.
And the trial judge granted your request in full or in part?
In full.
And so ordered deposition to take place, I think, on or before April 1st?
Correct.
And you have that now noticed?
It's on the books for next week unless something crazy happens.
Did they agree to a date, or did you just notice it?
We didn't hear from them for a while, so we just noticed it.
And it's in Austin?
Yes. Well, the order is the depot would be via Zoom.
Okay.
Boo. Yeah, but it's fine. The whole point of it is to get the depot.
Okay.
Are you going to go down lemon on anybody?
Man, he got fired for that.
That guy did a job.
Did they appeal the ruling?
We haven't got a ruling on TCPA yet.
Did they appeal the?
I think they tried to mandamus the order and did not work. If my understanding is correct, but I could be off. I got to go back and look. Mark Bankson is the chief running that ship.
Maybe we should get Mark to co-host the Dirty Verdict.
Well, he would be fantastic at it. He's way smarter than I am.
We were more read. We didn't know what we had when we interviewed Mark as one of our earlier.
Y'all had no idea. It's a great episode though.
We need to take another shot at Mark.
I would love to have him back on. And you know what? I would be willing to make it like 1-for-1 trade.
Okay.
I'm in for one Bankston, just for a night.
To who?
A team.
If I can't, actually now, if I can't make one, or if any of us can't make one, we should sub in guests.
Yes, we should definitely sub in.
Mark would be great.
He's hilarious.
We might have to clip and cut a little bit here and there because I don't know if y'all saw what he did last week, but did y'all see Aaron Rodgers in the mix?
Yeah, that's our next. Yeah.
Because the reason there are stories about it is because Mark Bankston's Twitter.
Okay, so that was going to be the next story I want to segue into. So Aaron Rodgers, who I guess was talked about as possibly an RFK vice presidential running mate,
dream ticket.
He was very anti-vax during the COVID days and kind of outspoken.
He's, to be fair to RFK and Aaron Rodgers, he's not just anti-vax. Like, he is full-on conspiracy theory nutter on a variety of topics.
I want to say that if you listen to RFK on another podcast, it's slightly bigger than ours. It's the most widely listened to podcast in the world.
Based in Austin, Texas.
It is, with Mr. Rogan. He goes through his position on the vax and on Dr. Fauci, which is hilarious that somebody hates Tony Fauci that much. That's why I call him Tony.
Sure. You guys are buds.
And he wrote a book and goes into a deep dive of the research he did. He ain't been sued for defamation yet.
You got to do your own research.
I know, but his book takes some positions that you would, if I gave it to you in a vacuum, you'd say, yeah, 100%. I would never trust whatever, if I didn't say we're talking about a vax, but I just gave you the arguments that he gives in his book, you would actually be like, I see where we're going.
You know, he did go to Cal, though.
And he has not been, the surprising thing to me was he hasn't been sued for defamation.
You say this is RFK?
This is, Robert.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
No, I thought you were talking about
God, that was Rangers. Come on,
Rodgers. It was reported that long ago he told some, I think, CNN reporter, that he thought Sandy Hook was a fake.
I think he told Michelle Brown. I think is who he told. I can't remember who it was.
I don't know what the context was. Maybe
kids didn't die. I believe
no. It's that there were federal agents like milling around with the family.
It was an inside job.
It was an inside job, and the parents were, I guess, at least by implication, in on it.
I could have read wrong. I was enjoying spring break with my kiddo, but I feel like I read somewhere that where in response to being asked a question, he's like chuckled and goes, nobody died there, no kids died, or something along those lines. But
was he even public? Like, is that a publication to just tell it to one person?
Yes.
Well, any of it.
And then if that one person tells everyone, you're on the hook.
Seems like you'd be cool. Like, I'm crazy, but be cool.
And it was Mark Bankston at my office has a Twitter at Mark Bankston. It's his personal,
his real Twitter.
That's all we're going to say. That's the only Twitter he has now.
Okay.
And he wrote what I thought was a hilarious thread. Some would call it aggressive. To where I think he ended it with "quit being a fucking freak."
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you've met Mark Bankston,
it's not off color at all.
Right. Settle down.
So, and then in response to that, I understand
Aaron Rodgers came out with an apology that was viewed, 8 million times last time I looked.
Hold on.
Wait, well, it was air quote apology. You got an air quote apology.
It was not an apology. He said, "My thoughts and prayers are with the families," which, as everyone knows, thoughts and prayers is like the ultimate FU these days.
Yes, we can soon, Theodore.
That's the new, like, kids in the know. If someone says thoughts and prayers, that's like backslap.
It's like bless your heart.
Yeah, I mean, thoughts and prayers. Like 100 people got killed today with a gun. Well, thoughts and prayers to you. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It's real hard for why Jesus wanted that to happen.
Yeah, it's right there in the Constitution. Can't do nothing about it. These well-regulated militias are off the chain.
All right. Dak Prescott of the Cowboys.
DAK.
Has filed a lawsuit against alleged extortioner and represented by counsel who made the old send the letter allegation was sexual assault against him and said, you should pay us money or else we're going to go to the prosecutors and have you criminally prosecuted.
Okay.
Which, of course, you all know is not good.
Not ethical.
Not ethical for the lawyers. And
who's the lawyer that sent that letter?
Yes. Allegedly, Bethel and Yoel Zehaie, Ceha.
Where are they from?
Zehaie. So
Dallas joint.
I think it was from a different state.
Mississippi then?
Let's see. It was because I think it dated back to his time in Mississippi State. So
go Dogs.
Anyhow,
it's forever ago.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
there's the statute of limitations is pretty long on those cases.
Okay,
so that attorney's going to be in trouble, huh?
Well, yeah, but if he sent that fucking letter like an idiot,
he sued them, saying they're trying to extort him, and that's filed by the same lawyer. That leads us to our next story. That lawyer is Levi McCathern. He obtained a dismissal for Jerry Jones and a defamation case against. I think it was a young lady.
Oh yeah,
Jerry was her dad.
Yeah,
she had to sit in the room. Well, her friend, is that the story we're talking about?
No. This one is one where the young lady claimed that she was actually his daughter.
It's paternity.
Oh no.
And then
you're a little bit young for those cases yet, Bill, but another 10 years.
Yeah, stand by, Bill.
Not as a litigant.
So she had a paternity case against him, trying to establish that he was the father. I think he was ordered to give DNA, and I think that's still pending. But separate apart from that, she alleged that he and his, I think, legal team, speaking on his behalf, slammed her as a money grabber or what have you.
Okay.
Yeah, that case got dismissed.
Dallas
federal
court. It seems
court.
complicated to go into federal court and do that when you could just go on Maury, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not the father.
Oh, I told y'all, you know?
But how old is Jerry Jones? Mm-hmm. And how old is this kid?
Jerry's got to be late 70s.
This lady is 27.
Okay. I was going to say, if the kid was like young-ish, and Jerry would be like, yeah, babe, me.
Still got it.
Boom.
I guess in that issue, they were the judge found that the defendants did not act with malice. So I assume they've determined that she was a public figure because
if that was their determination to dismiss it, then that would be the case.
Okay. Let's see. We talked about this with our guest, Dan Cogdill, but
did you say Levi McCathern?
McCathern, yeah. He's a longtime lawyer for Jerry Jones.
He's got his own joint, or he's got with a big firm?
Yeah, they have an office, I think, in Houston, definitely in Dallas. He's based in Dallas, but I think they have an office in Houston.
Okay. I'm always curious. Anytime I hear somebody successfully defending a case like that, I keep them on my radar. There's just not many of them.
Yeah, he...
Mark Enoch is another one out of that area that I thought did a pretty good job against us.
Okay.
Before he exited stage left.
All right, next one, we talked about this with our guest, Dan Cogdill, briefly. He and his colleague and friend of the show, former guest, Anthony Oso.
Tony Oso.
Who now we know his name is...
Teaser Pony?
Teaser Pony.
got the big stuff.
We're gonna try to get more traction. If you want to know what that means, watch our interview with Dan Cogdell.
Yeah, he'll tell you because we can't.
We're not allowed to talk about that. And it's not limited by
There's a lot of. It was an equestrian theme.
I like Dan.
Yeah, he's great.
Like, of all the criminal lawyers here that I can't afford, I feel like he might be the one that would be like, Kyle, you're just a dumb kid with a bright future. I'm going to take a flyer on you and I'll represent you for these moral crimes and turpitudes.
For free?
Yeah. Maybe you're like a slightly reduced rate.
If you were burned 50% of your body, handcuffed to a hospital bed, and just found out your child died, maybe.
Praise be to David Koresh.
Praise be unto him.
So we got some inside info from Dan Cogdell on that. But so it was Exxon executive, and Dan told us that it was a very senior guy at Exxon. He's out, I guess, obviously single guy. He's out.
Well, I don't know what I'd say, obviously.
Yeah, well,
who knows?
Yeah, Dad, we can always. Jerry's still going.
What you guys listening at home don't understand is what a Puritan Peter is.
Yeah.
I mean, I just say the best man caught in a hotel, probably doing all kinds of nefarious stuff, accused of sexual assault with I think 2 ladies. Wasn't that the story?
Yeah.
And Peter's like, well, clearly he was not wedded to another woman, because in the year 2000, that doesn't happen.
Peter, let me tell you something about the streets.
Tell us about Deer Park, Bill.
Yeah.
Tell us how that rolls down.
The streets of Deer Park is actually... Deer Park guys have a great reputation in the city, by the way. I didn't know it. I learned it along the way. But apparently we're like great, hardworking.
That's,
good guy.
You and Annie Pettit.
White fella, I'm a black sheep.
You're the only
brothers. Great guy.
You're the only 2.
Yeah.
Is Todd from Deer Park, or is that just
Todd and Yvette are from Pasadena?
Got it.
They went to prom together at Sam Rayburn High School.
Really? Did they used to go to Gillies?
Yeah, Mickey's.
Is she like Sissy, or the other one that lived downtown?
The bad one?
I think she was neither. She was in the Hispanic crowd of Pasadena.
Oh.
Yeah, and Pasadena wasn't exactly accepting back in the 80s, apparently.
Rough.
All right. Well, yeah, those guys got this exec was alleged to have sexually assaulted one of the ladies that he was with that night.
And those guys got him.
They got him off.
I knew you were going to say that. Beyond that. Show me 10.
Good job, Bill. That's flat hands.
That's 10.
Damn it.
Okay, well.
Get this thing back on track, Peter.
So,
just a little piece of cheese for the mouse.
So I had thought that they had convinced the prosecutor to drop the case, and I think I was corrected by Dan that actually they said, no, let's put it on. You'd have to think that maybe the prosecutor kind of maybe phoned it in a little bit.
Well, so hold on.
As a favor, like, hey, I don't think this is
I think the prosecutor just said, yeah, you can put together a presentation with the jury.
They don't have to let them do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the point is the prosecution said, we will let you present your side to the grand jury, which they don't have to do.
Because if I can do my job correctly, it doesn't matter what you say, I'll still get this.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think and Dan said he respected that prosecutor.
He did. I'd like to find out who that was. He was saying great stuff about that person.
Yeah. He was like an EA in Manhattan or something before, and all very credentialed. Okay, next one. So we had this big Smokehouse Creek fire up in the Panhandle.
Right.
Y'all have heard about that. So of course, I'm off my game. I didn't even think about that there would be lawsuits associated with that.
Sure.
Of course, our friend Michael Watts, who's had great success in California on these types of cases.
Yeah, I keep hearing his name. He seems like he's really growing in our industry.
Yeah,
he's a top tier guys.
Up-and-comer.
He's at that next that JV tier.
That's right. He's coming along. There was news at the beginning of the year that he and his former partner split up, and now he's just
Frank.
Yeah. Now it's just Watts' firm.
Oh, is that the case? They did split up. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so Michael filed this case against Excel Energy, a subsidiary called Southwestern Public Service Company, Osmos Utility Services, and which is a contractor that inspects wood utility poles. So they think a utility pole went down, caused this huge fire.
I thought it was from not raking the forest floor enough.
I don't think there's a lot
talking about preventative maintenance for forest fires.
Look, there's these windmills, they cause cancer, and then I don't think there's a lot of forests out in the Panhandle.
If we build a wall, well, how are the deer supposed to get back and forth?
Fair enough.
So apparently, and I've seen some subsequent stories. I mean,
I love that.
What?
Kyle and I are spitting complete nonsense, and you are just on. You keep us in line.
It's been a long night.
I've got to read these stories, and like you guys ask me questions, I got to get the answer like, real time.
You're doing great.
So, there are a couple of people died, and I don't know if one of the deceased families have filed suit, but obviously a lot of people lost cattle and that kind of thing. So there's been other cases filed. I looked on Texas Law Report. They've got a link to one of the Amarillo sites that keeps all the tracks. And so Michael has filed most of them, although I think I saw Tracy, bless you, I think I saw Tracy Fox had filed one. Certainly a lot of the, big Houston kind of people that have been involved in the California stuff, I'm sure will be involved. So that was interesting. I think there's about 10 cases that have been filed since Michael's first one. All right, next one, Kyle, back to our college days. Former UT exchange student sues the SAE frat, also known formerly as the Texas Rose. They were the SAEs, and then they got kicked off.
Oh.
And then they were the Texas Rose, and now they're back, but they're not covered by their national fraternity. I know
They lost their charter.
Yes, they lost their charter.
They wanted double secret probation.
I was not an SAE, but a lot of my friends were, and they were kind of a rival frat. And
So that's what you look for in a friend?
yeah, exactly. So anyhow, there's an exchange student he comes with a gal, doesn't realize it's a closed party. They ask, I'm sure he's like, I came with a lady, why can I not stay? And they're like, yeah, it doesn't work that way.
They were like, go back to wherever you're from.
Yeah, and I don't know where he was from, but it was not from the United States, a different country. He was exchanged.
Is it a hate crime?
He's probably Dutch.
I can promise you that did not factor into their decision on his ethnicity or nationality.
You're that tied into him? Okay, Pete.
No, I'm just guessing. They're like, you're not in our group, you're out. Like they don't discriminate as long as you aren't in their group.
Are you saying the three of us with your cred, your street cred, and Bill's
Native Americanness?
And my,
You want to try it out?
or je ne sais quoi, we couldn't just roll up and be welcomed?
Well, you could, Kyle and I, if we made a human centipede together, we'd be the optimum human. And we'd be alpha. We would be the apex predator.
Maybe.
With great hair.
Ish. Why? What's the centipede got to do with it?
It's just, how else are you going to get the bodies together? The other option was mating and having a child, and I'm not carrying that to term. All right. It's like
Apparently, allegedly in the lawsuit, it is claimed that he was beaten up by several members. They're being sued, and I'm sure the national fraternity and all that. So,
but there is no national fraternity.
Well, I guess you're right. Maybe it's just a local, and they have a huge asset, which is a big old building, nice new house in the middle of West Campus.
Can I ask you a question? I was not
the individuals that did it.
I was not on a fraternity. How hard is it? Like, do you have to try pretty hard to lose your national charter and be kicked off a university campus?
No. I had to deal with that. I was the advisor for my fraternity when I was younger. And, this is interesting because it's just little things. Like they say, well, we don't want you to serve alcohol at the house. Okay, that's fine. But these are college kids. They're going to get alcohol. So why don't we maybe put a lot of protections in place so that, there's free rides home and there's security and there's licensed, TABC licensed servers. So, there's people, adults around, so you're not doing crazy stuff. Otherwise, they're going to go somewhere else and do it, and there's not any regulation at all.
It's like being the cool mom.
Yeah. So you try to be responsible, and that's, the national fraternities, like, there's a huge problem with over drinking in fraternities. I mean, it's a, what? Yeah. I heard that. Yeah. So you have to run the line. So that the different chapters are different as far as how different national fraternities are different as far as how they don't want to be involved, because then there's some kind of control and there's liability when there's control. So a lot of them say, you do whatever. That's not our deal. I mean, we're not responsible. And the ones that, I think that's where it is now. They used to try to take a more hands-on approach. Now they just say, you do you, but if you do something wrong, adios, mofo.
But so you might not know this. So the SAEs at UT, were they kicked off by the university or by their national parent company? Or
usually it starts at the university and goes from there.
Yeah, I believe both are they're not affiliated with not a recognized university organization, and not affiliated with their nationals anymore. According to this story, SA is not affiliated with the University of Texas. Roe, Texas Roe. Yeah. I don't know the answer. I don't think they're affiliated with the University of Texas or the Nationals.
So it's just a bunch of dudes living in a super expensive house, beating up people, hoping to get sued as much as possible.
Keeping their girls.
Yeah.
Can they get a CGL policy, or are they just going to let that piece of dirt go? Because I might go get my ass kicked if I could own a mansion in West Campus.
Yeah, it depends on how they structured it. Because a lot of them, the entity that owns the property is separate apart from the entity that manages the fraternity. So the property owner's like, I just rent to people. I don't know what's going on here.
Usually, though, with those fraternity houses, though, it's they do a separate LLC, which is still owned by the fraternity, and then pay it rent to get the mortgage and all that. So
yeah,
I don't know how it works.
I don't think they need a mortgage. I think they've owned it. There's some very successful alumni of that fraternity. So let's turn away from that. Let's talk about it. At McAllen, Texas, a woman is filing a lawsuit after allegedly having hot frijoles spilled on her at a McAllen Mexican restaurant.
First of all, which one?
And Pancho's Mexico Nuevo restaurant. She ordered a container of beans. She ordered a container of beans at the drive-thru window of the restaurant and was handed it in a plastic bag without knowledge that the bottom of the paper bag containing the beans was soaked. Plaintiff reached for the bag and the container of beans fell out and opened up, spilling its extremely hot contents. So she still alleges burns to her lower abdomen and inner thighs.
What are frijoles? It's just refried beans. I'm just kidding.
I thought it was charro beans, but
what county is McAllen in? Is it Nueces?
No, that's Corpus. McAllen. Gosh, you'd think I was down there all the time when I was in
Edinburgh.
No, it's Edinburgh's McAllen is the big city. Edinburgh is the county seat. Hidalgo.
God, I was like, I kept wanting to say Gonzalo.
I was hoping that peanuts and beans would be tied together, but you're right. Nueces is Corpus.
Yeah.
Well, they filed an answer, and they're saying the plaintiff failed to use ordinary care, due diligence, caution, and prudence to avoid or mitigate the damages of which she now complains.
I'm just curious, who orders a bag of frijoles?
That is a good question.
Why didn't it come in like a Tupperware or like a one of those little bowls?
Did it not come? Was it just like a bag?
By the way, he brought it in. He led us to believe that she ordered a plastic bag of beans, or paper bag of.
No, it was probably in a styrofoam, and it was placed in a bag, and it probably was leaking, and it made the paper.
You're making a lot of this. You're making this are dangerous.
Look, you don't think this amounts to a hill of beans?
I'm very naive about how these things work.
I know these weren't cool beans.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to.
Finger gun.
I don't think no matter what, I don't care if it's in a bag or if it's in a briefcase, I'm not going to stick hot beans in my lap.
You hear that, people? You can put your beans in whatever you want. Peter's not putting them in his lap.
Look, this is where
I know what Pete is.
I don't being shame unless you're in the
Pete, whatever you're into. Hey, wherever you want to hold your beans, you hold them there, bud.
I don't know how hard it's going to be for us to get like a pair of satin boxer shorts with the name Hot Beans across the front in time for Father's Day for Peter, but I'm going to make it happen.
For Black Eyed Peter?
June. It's not till June.
Black Eyed Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. Getting worse from here.
All right. My brother actually threw like some refried beans at me once on a spoon, and it burned my hand pretty good.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Yeah, well, now imagine you're Peter putting a bag. Now imagine it being in a bag.
Just a bag of hot beans on yourself.
And you're actually, to be fair, if there was a lawsuit filed, there's a chance, I'm not going to put a number on it, that this woman actually was pretty severely burned. So if she is
we don't mean to
making light of it.
We're not making light of it.
I was going to make a taco bean joke, but I'm not going to. I'm going to move on.
Well, this goes into, we've talked about it multiple times, McDonald's hot coffee. I doubt this restaurant that's a small business has like national measurements of keeping beans at a certain heat level so that they last longer, like McDonald's have with a coffee.
I'm going to disagree there. I think most people know I want my beans hot. I want them hot, and I want them in a bag, and I want them in my car.
Yeah, I want a paper bag of beans, and I want them now.
Yeah. I don't even have to ask for it anymore. I just roll up, and I go. And then somebody throws a bag of beans at me.
Kyle will go through the drive-thru. He goes handless. Yeah. He just set the bag of beans in his lap. He doesn't even touch the bag.
Yeah. I went to my favorite taco place the other day, and I was like, hey, bring me the beans. And they said, you know what? We can't, because we can't put them in a taco. The meat hose is clogged.
And then Cal said, sorry, frijoles. And they said, oh, here you go.
Yeah.
And then they said, do you know Black Eyed Pete?
I was like, yep, we do a podcast together.
It was messed up.
Black eyed peas, I think you probably don't want them that scorching hot, though. They're more of a...
They'll try to get out of this.
Yeah.
Nickname's a nickname.
All right. Fine. Okay, y'all remember that there was a situation where a football player down in South Texas, he was ticked at the ref, so he runs full speed and just boo out of him. Okay, so that guy is being criminally prosecuted, but the student player, and then apparently he's had some other issues.
That's a tough video to watch.
Yeah, I know. You just feel bad.
You know what's crazy? I saw that article a couple of days ago, and I thought, like, what is the civil liability for that kind of an assault? And I went down this crazy rabbit trail at like 2 a.m. on my phone, because I can't do awesome stuff on my phone anymore. Thanks a lot, Ken Paxton. But so I went and looked up the Rudy Tomjanovich, where Kermit Washington laid him out.
Oh, yeah.
And 1, that video is horrific. 2, it ruined Kermit Washington's, basically his life. And 3, like, Rudy T got a decent chunk of change out of whatever team Kermit Washington played for.
I guess he was in the course and scope.
Yeah, course and scope, and like the front part of his skull like came detached, and like spinal fluid was leaking through his sinuses.
If you ever see him in person, you can still tell that he's had that.
He looks different.
Yeah. Anyhow, so the young man's been prosecuted. I'm sure that he's sued him, but the ref sued the Texas Association of Referees, whatever, TASO.
Failure to,
I don't know what
protect him.
They failed to provide a safe workplace, because I guess that was his technical.
I've been saying this for years. Refs should be in helmets. It'd look funny.
Yeah. And then, so they're saying, and he also sued the school district and the UIL. And they're saying, the Texas Association of Sports Officials is trying to get the case dismissed.
What's his cause of action? How is it not? I would think any state-funded organization would fall into the Texas Tort Claims Act.
I don't think it's UIL.
That's TASO. I don't even know if the UIL is a state organization.
Oh, yeah.
It's homework for me. School district obviously is a division.
UIL, I think definitely has to be, because the UIL has the ability to drug test students.
Yeah. And they're headquartered at the University of Texas, which is a public
institution. You have to say "the" in front of it?
I call it Texas, UT. Do
you say "these United States"?
I say
Kyle calls it the university.
I say the former home of the SAEs.
Texas. Not to be confused with an acai bowl. They're delicious.
Very delicious and healthy. And cancer fighting.
Cancer fighting?
I'm not going to fighting.
Fighting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's not an FDA endorsement, and do your own research on your own, but that's what they say. Okay.
I'm going to write a book about that.
Story. This isn't some breaking news. Texas, I think we may have talked about this. State of Texas passed a bill that required, I think, sites that are like 50% or more devoted to pornography.
No. False.
To verify the age of users.
My understanding is so we'll be open and honest about it, all right? When a man and a woman love each other, Pete, they, show affection in certain ways. And sometimes it's on video on the internet.
So you guys are at the age, your kids are at the age where you're actually going to have to start having that conversation. I'm well past that.
I remember when my father, Todd Ogden, who is the epitome of a dad, my mom clearly forced him. I was like 12. I don't even think I did puberty yet.
Yeah.
And we force-fed that conversation for the funniest 120 seconds of my life on the way to baseball practice one evening, and never talked about it again.
Yeah, I can tell you from the dad's side, it's not fun. It's not.
I can't imagine. So I guess with girls, the mom has to have that combo? Well, dad had that combo.
I sure didn't.
You did not?
Yeah.
Well, you have any grandkids, so...
Yeah. No grandkids yet. Anyhow, so that was the law. It was stayed. I think, I can't remember if the district court stayed it because of some type of constitutional stuff. Anyhow, Fifth Circuit came back and said, yep, it's good law. And so I don't know if it's just Pornhub or if it's any only the named defendants in the case.
So my understanding from an article that was read from a news publication is that Pornhub owns a number of sites, and all of them, I guess if you go to them, they have like, there was a screenshot on Instagram that I saw of like a long post.
A screenshot on Instagram?
Like a letter.
Bill?
There's a letter out there of a screenshot on Instagram. I just found out about it today. I just landed at 4 o'clock. I was fine in Vegas.
So I don't know if I need to explain this to you, Bill, but Pornhub is a website.
Pornhub.com.
And they show pictures of naked ladies and sometimes naked men doing stuff.
Like what? You dance around this. See how good it is, people. Let's test him. What's so, Carl?
So what do you say? Pass.
So I want you to imagine.
Say pass.
I want you to imagine a woman.
Pass. I want Peter to do it. I want Peter.
I want you to imagine a woman with a hot bag of beans. Okay.
All right. I want you to.
Sometimes those beans get loose.
Okay, so
I want you to imagine you're in a poncho.
Anyhow, this is publicly reported, so Bill doesn't have to act like he maybe saw it on Instagram. It's publicly reported.
I did see it on Instagram.
Sorry, Yvette.
I'm on other places.
Pornhub and related websites that they're own, at least those that they're owned by or managed, they have said we're shutting down, at least in Texas. So I don't know if it's being appealed to the Supreme Court.
I would assume it has to be. And it's odd because the way that the articles that I read were written, it is as if Pornhub voluntarily was like, fine, we're out.
Yeah.
Instead of being blocked. And so that's kind of where, do you lose your argument on your damages when you do that?
Well,
how we're keeping this legal is impressive.
There's other states that have had these bans in place.
But again, my understanding, haven't done a ton of research, Kyle's the pro here, or the expert. But my understanding is Texas specifically was requiring an ID verification.
Yes.
You have to do like your license or something.
So when you go and renew your
state issued,
when you go and renew your plates on your car, there's like another link you have to go to verify, and you have to like take pictures of your front and back of your ID. I think that's what they wanted there, and they were like, no, that violates the privacy of our users and their expression of free speech and all that stuff. Because
Ken Paxton's never going to download it and try and force them to tell you like what sort of weird porn you look at.
Well, yeah,
no, but Ted Cruz might. He hates dildos. Ted Cruz hates dildos. Google it. It's actually a real story. When he was Solicitor General, I didn't make it up.
Okay. There was also a story that someone who had access to one of his accounts reposted a
picture, a link to a porn site who mildly looked similar to his wife.
Yeah.
That's definitely not
the picture is, and we try to steer, or at least I do, steer away from politics, but it does seem a little Big Brother-esque, which most people think is the antithesis of the Republican Party, which is supposed to be
it's the party
state out of my
it's the party of small government. They just want to know what you're doing in your pants all the time.
They're just sitting there over your shoulder.
Anyhow, so that's pending as we go.
So
interesting legal. See, kids, law is not as boring as you may think it.
So I'm looking
at naked ladies everywhere, even in the law.
I'm looking for this because this is the funny thing. Just a couple points of clarification. They have to be able to store your data so that they know that you have proven your age with a government-issued ID, which is bizarre. 2, it's a really slippery and stupid slope because all of this is about, the bill is written, we have to protect children, right? Well, you can protect children from porn by simply putting in the age thing on your own phone and blocking those websites.
Or just being a good parent.
Yeah. And then 3, and this is the hilarious thing that I'm looking for, is the landing page for the website to be compliant with the law in the state of Texas.
How do you know?
Has to, because I looked up the statute, has to display in 14-point font that a mental health warning that says viewing pornography leads to rape, viewing pornography leads to the abuse of children.
Suicide was in there too.
And suicide, and it grows hair on your palms, and you're going to, and then it has, no, it doesn't, joke.
Kyle.
What doesn't? I know, right? And we would know. And the other funny thing is, it has a mental health hotline you can call.
Call it right now.
I'm looking for the number.
Let's call it on the air.
Yeah, you guys go to the next story. I'm going to find this number.
They say, what's wrong? You just say, my hand, there's hair all over my hand.
I can't. I've got pictures of Heidi and Ted Cruz, and I don't know what to do.
Well, okay, to be fair to Senator Cruz, this is a state law, not a federal law.
Oh, yeah, the jokes we're having with Senator Cruz are when he was the Solicitor General for Ted.
Okay. So he didn't have anything to do with passing that bill.
So Greg Abbott.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, there's probably a lot of editing to be done on that one. Okay, next story.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. Cell phone, Bill, you ready?
Yep. Oh, here we go.
1-800.
Oh.
This is not a joke. This is not a drill. 1-800 662 HELP or 4357.
I just want to know if this is like, you've called the Texas Pornography. I just want to see what's...
What is this number?
This is the...
Thank you for calling the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
That's the national one.
So why did you call that number?
It's on the
statute.
By the statute.
You have to post this on your webpage.
Oh, okay.
If
If you watch this, you're going to rape people, murder yourself.
Did you hang up?
Yeah, it's just the federal national hotline. Oh, you want me to call somebody?
I want to tell them about your problem, Bill. We got to get you help.
Okay, so that's in the bill. Okay, see, Kyle actually reads these.
Go ahead, Pete. It's a long intro.
Okay, you guys want to talk about the next story? You're going to be focused on.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Talking.
We'll call it later.
Okay, next story. Texas mother sues Enterprise for alleged negligence in daughter's fatal crash. So, rental company Enterprise rented a car. Let's see, crash on site. So it's hard to tell if the third party hit her or if it was their car. But the allegation is Enterprise rented a car that had basically bald tires that failed.
Oh, who's the plaintiff's attorney?
It is Ramos James, I think is her last name. It's in Austin. Laura Ramos James.
Laura, if you need any help, give me a call.
Yeah, Bill is very good on tire tread cases. But anyhow, usually, you rent a car, they're protected. I think there's a federal statute that protects the rental car companies from a negligent entrustment or something. But in this case, they're saying they rented a car that was bald tires, and those were dangerous, and that was the cause of the accident.
Was it raining during the accident?
I don't know. They've got a post of
or was it a D-tread, do we know? Because if you have bald tires and it's not raining, technically you have more traction.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting just because it was lots of people try to sue the rental car companies, and they've got pretty good protections under federal law. Okay, I think last one, Bill, and we're going to take a little trip down Sam Houston State Way.
The Sam Houston State University. I was just there. I spoke at a media law class.
Go Wildcats.
I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
So
Bobcats.
Bearcats.
So Bill's
Just a logical
alma mater has been spared from any
Social
bad talk. So apparently there's the Assembly of God Church has someone. This came up with an A&M case. I don't know if we talked about it, but there's a youth leader or something found his way to Sam Houston State University where he allegedly abused a student from 2017 through 22.
Multiple students, right? It was in the not the Young Life. It's called Chi Alpha.
Chi Alpha Campus Ministries. I wasn't familiar with
Chi Alpha. Is it has Greek letters, but it's just like if you want to do the church thing, it's like the religious group. It's a Christian-based group that just has Greek letters.
Yeah. So,
and it apparently is a bad deal because there were reports and allegations that came to light beforehand, and everybody just left this guy in power to keep doing what he was doing.
Yeah, apparently the guy at issue, he's a convicted sex offender. In 2012, he was convicted of sexual abuse and served 90 days in prison following accusations he abused boys while serving as a youth pastor at a church in Ketchikan, Alaska in the mid-1990s.
Can you give us a little more details?
I believe he then found his way... What, are you kidding me? Are you
No.
No, I was being serious. Kyle gave me a look, and then I realized what he was getting me a look for, and it came off. Actually, if I was kidding, it would have been funny.
Yeah. Okay. So anyhow, apparently 23, he was arrested in Houston and charged with sexual abuse over allegations he assaulted 2 boys in Waco that were involved with the Chi Alpha chapter in
Baylor,
of
2
course.
boys, 1 chapter.
Yeah. Let's see. And then apparently he's been to a bunch of different schools, and it's kind of like the back in the days of the Catholic priests where they would just move the guy around rather than actually take discipline on them.
They were playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah. So that one is a new one. This guy's in jail in Harris County as of last week. So very sad.
So what was the relationship to Texas State?
You mean Sam Houston?
Sam Houston.
It was just they were just the where the school has a Chi Alpha fraternity. So anyhow, Kyle, you've been looking furiously on your phone for some information ever since we talked about
He's trying to hack that front page of .com.
Well, I was talking earlier about this porn statute, and the stuff in it is just. I want to read this because it's so awesome. That in order to comply with the statute, the website that you might want to go to that has sexually oriented material, which, by the way, the definition of which at the beginning of the bill is so, like, the display of the pubis is actually listed on there. So, like, the level.
You know what, Kyle? Hey, show yours. Let's show Gavin what's up.
This is a legit question. Should say it has to be uncovered or covered? Because if it's covered, if it's not defined, then covered would be like the Sears catalog, right?
Yeah, I mean
Sears.
If you want to look it up,
Crew website.
You just got to Google HB 1181. But here is the warning that if you want to go look at sexually oriented material that is extremely broad, the website now shall or face I think it's a $10,000 penalty per, I guess, visit. Display the following notices in 14-point font on the landing page. Warning: pornography is biologically addictive and is proven to harm your brain development, desensitize your reward circuits, increase a conditioned response, and weaken your brain function. It is also associated with low self-esteem, body image issues, eating disorders, impaired brain development, and other emotional and mental illness. Further, pornography increases the demand for prostitution, child exploitation, and child pornography.
Wait, what? Oh, okay.
Where does this have to be?
It must be displayed at the bottom of every page of the website.
As in the bill?
That's what the bill says. Shall be displayed the following notice at the bottom of every page of the internet website in 14-point font or larger, and then provide the internet helpline for U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services.
What if you're not on a website? What if you're just like some VHS tapes?
I think you're safe there, Bill.
I think they can't regulate that. So, I mean, to me, it's like the, those gambling, you go to Vegas and it's, there's an ad, or even here, and it says, oh, gambling problem, call blah, 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 blah. Does anyone think that, like, someone sees as like, oh, maybe
you've never seen me and Bill playing dice downstairs in the garage?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know.
I can't play dice. I gotta recharge my bank account for a little bit.
I feel like it's just one of those things where they feel like you're doing something quick, but you're not doing anything. You're just not attacking the problem realistically.
Well, I would say this, though. I think that there is probably a reasonable psychological relationship between the way that gambling companies, interface with you that makes you probably more likely to continue to gamble. I'd be surprised if there was a scientific causal relationship between pornographic websites and the impairment of your brain function and your likelihood to abuse children.
I think that the abuse of children was the one that kind of caught me off guard. I think the brain development side, I mean, when you have like that big of a rush of dopamine, I think that could actually, maybe there's some science there, but I'm not going to support that science.
Well,
somebody's got to be on the other side of the war,
I bet Aaron Rodgers is supporting that science.
We're not scientists or epidemiologists or anything like that.
We're doctors.
Speak for yourself.
Of jurisprudence.
Bill, you seem to have totally normal self-esteem, body image. And I don't think you have an eating disorder.
I just threw up during the break.
Well, of course, and so here's the takeaway is at least according to stories I've read, the workaround for anyone is just you go surf the web through a VPN, virtual private network, which is probably a good idea.
Just some random dude on the street came up and told you this?
No, I go. You were research team. The research team for the
Was that the SAEM
or the podcast
is me, and so I knew we were going to talk about this. So I was looking at what all the various stories are, and this multiple stories I've seen from commentators saying this is really silly. You just get a VPN, which you should really do anyway. If you're in this day and age with so many bad actors out there trying to get your private information, so that's all that's going to happen is the VPN companies are about to make a ton of money, and that's actually, to him, he's like, this is a good thing because I want everyone to be on VPN because to preserve privacy. So anything that promotes VPN usage is great.
So you're saying the Texas legislature is backdooring us to protect our privacy?
Calm down with the backdooring.
Yeah, it was on purpose. It was 100% on purpose. I was waiting for Pete to get.
I'm just saying this. If the fans out there of the Dirty Verdict want to see us on OnlyFans, we're probably going to have to go to Louisiana to do it.
If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you're just hearing this orally.
You don't realize the pubis that's on display.
If you're on YouTube, you can actually see the graphic images like this Adonis.
You're probably throwing up in your mouth right now.
Which is wait, you can't make any eating disorder jokes, Kyle.
All right, we're gonna end. We're gonna get off this topic.
Yeah, we are. You started
very fast.
I can't believe you brought this up.
I knew I was playing with fire.
You're playing with hot beans is what you're doing.
You know what else starts with P? Pervert.
Yeah.
Sex pervert.
Okay, so a friend of the show, Moaziz, I think he's a friend of the show. I'd love to have him on sometime.
Come on.
I've had multiple.
Yeah, we could find this.
Maybe not after today, but past.
Yeah, well, you don't know what side he stands on this battle.
Anyhow, Moaziz has filed a lawsuit against a Dallas property management company, et cetera, various others, involving a death of a doctor that was killed at a Conroe area, Alice, ALYS, luxury living in Conroe. And so it was by a third-party bad actor killed the lady, and he's been arrested and indicted on murder charges. They're alleging that this was improperly maintained. Yeah, lots of criminal activity that wasn't disclosed, ill-maintained and inoperable entry and exit gates.
Doesn't it have to be the same, though?
It's got like a history of same or similar. It's got to be almost exactly the same now.
Yeah, it's got to be a bunch of murders. So they have to have some previous murders.
Timberwalk.
Yeah, they've already. I mean, at least it appears that they've already done some of the data collection on the nearby. According to them, there were 46 assaults and 48 burglaries. How do you say that?
Burglaries?
I can't say that. Within a half mile of the Conroe complex between the end of 2018 and the end of 2023.
What's the place called?
Luxury something at Alice. It's spelled ALYS.
Usually those complexes run by that company, they're pretty anal with their security.
You think so? Bill is smiling with a little Cheshire cat smile. No, in those cases, I've learned that there's experts, and particularly in Houston, you can go 1 mile out, and anywhere you go, you're going to find a ton of crime just because Houston being zoned. Or if you go, within half a mile, it's a whole different school.
Looks like a nice place.
If you go to the registered sex offenders list, it's like chicken pox.
All over the place?
All over. I bet even in Westlake.
Yeah.
They're there.
Anyhow, so they filed that lawsuit. Very sad story. And doctor and family lost her. So
if Mo filed that case, I have a hard time thinking he didn't do his research and already has his
expert
chambers. Yeah, an expert ready to go on all the issues that could kind of thwart that case.
Yeah, because a lot of lawyers get a case like that and just file it because for various reasons. This incident happened in October, and he's just filed it now. So you can assume he did his due diligence and got experts on board and did the analysis and all that. So probably just a question of how much insurance they have, I would guess. But it's filed in Dallas County.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What happens if they don't have insurance, but they own the building outright?
I guess.
Just become a new management company for your tenants?
I guess
Or can you evict them all? I don't know how that works.
Well, the contracts would probably have to stay in place, the leases. I don't know.
Well, they're leveraged too, right?
I'm sure it's mortgaged up.
where does a judgment?
Which is why they have to have insurance. Sorry.
Well, you have. I think we talked about bankruptcy at some point. If where does a judgment creditor come in a bankruptcy versus the first lien mortgage people behind them?
www.achingum.com.
Okay, yeah.
But the problem is you got to reduce it to a judgment, which isn't going to happen for 3 years, and by that time you're
done.
Well,
speaking of
Your nose deep.
Speaking of that, Bill, we did. You guys, not me, y'all bagged on bankruptcy lawyers in one of our prior. I can't remember.
All I said was it was impressive at the amount of work product they can churn out in that short amount of time, and their hourly rates are wow.
There were some comments made about their physical appearance and attractiveness towards others.
I didn't say that, did I?
Someone said
That sounds like a Kyle thing.
I think it was someone said if you want to feel better about how you look, go down the bankruptcy court.
No, who was our guest? It was our guest.
May have been Hatchet. I'm not sure. And it's recent to me, and Hatchet's the last one.
why is this coming up?
I'm coming up because I want to invite a bankruptcy lawyer to come up here and defend their.
Oh my gosh!
I got one.
Okay,
A
good.
good friend of mine.
I would like.
Kyle doesn't. Yeah, and he's a Texas guy.
Who?
Clifford.
Well,
He knows subchapter 5.
we would like a bankruptcy. One, it's something that a lot of people think they know stuff about, but they really don't.
Dude, it is the most complicated thing when you're in it.
Yeah.
It's hard to just keep up with reading all the paper.
What bankruptcy are you up to now, Bill?
I'm in Alex Jones. Just got done with TPC.
Oh, not personally.
Oh no personal ones yet. And only because
He made it out of Vegas.
because I couldn't discharge any student loans through it.
Yeah. He made it back from Vegas, not bankrupt.
No, you've never seen an 85-year-old man go through $500 on a slot machine.
Peter, do you have poison ivy?
No, I have a cat.
I think you're allergic.
I have a cat.
What's another word for cat?
High beans.
Oh, bam. All right, delete that. Okay.
Actually, it sounds family friendly-ish.
All right. I think we have covered the watershed on our news stories.
Yeah, we've done as much damage tonight as we're going to do.
So now we're going to live stream us watching the torture tapes that Mr. Cogdell left for us, and we're going to give you a play-by-play.
It's going to be hot.
Yeah.
A lot of crucifixes.
Okay, so thanks for joining us.
Was he suggesting like he had like a party with a bunch of drugs while listening to torture tapes with a bunch of college girls?
No, what I think is he was...
My question is, how am I just meeting him?
I'm surprised. You guys run in practically the same circle.
I mean, basically.
You missed out on that. Missed my time. Okay, with that, we'll say goodnight. If you want to follow us on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, subscribe.
Apple.
Yeah, Apple. Where else, Josh, besides Spotify and Apple, can people get podcasts? Oh, yeah, go to YouTube. We forgot about that one.
www.youtube.com.
Go watch the video, although we're a much better audio.
I would say if you're planning on watching the video version of this, do it soon before we have to put a disclaimer at the bottom of the
Yeah, then you're going to have to get a VPN.
Yep.
I'm into a VPN near you. Thank you, Peter.
It's a lot of areolas.
Thank you. We'll cut out. Good night.
I snuck that in at the end then. It's a lot of areolas.
No.